Up with him right now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Been covering this program, I believe, since 2001. Brian, welcome back to Huntsville. You're with Drew and Scott. How are you?
I'm doing great. Always great to talk a little ball with you guys.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
We appreciate it. I really thought I want to get your thoughts and feedback on this, but I thought it was Bo Nix's best game of his career. He nearly throws for 300. He rushes for over 30 yards, including the game-clinching touchdown late. And then the deep ball was clicking, intermediate. I thought he was accurate on all levels. Do you agree or disagree? How did you think Bo Nix played this past Saturday?
No, I agree. 21 and 26, over 80% completion, and I thought he did a great job of sitting in the pocket and making plays. And I thought the design offensively was good for him. Started out with a lot of quick throws, and I think that got him and the offense in a rhythm, and they just kept going.
Yeah, and we've seen Bo Nix at times this season put little stretches together like that. But this was obviously the most complete game I think we saw from him. But it also helps, though, when the receivers put two hands on the ball and catch it.
Yes, and that has been the biggest issue on offense all season. But I think Auburn was credited with just 2 drops in that game. And that's a big step forward for that group. They weren't perfect, and, they're not super explosive, but they had just a couple of drops, and they had 2, big plays with Jamari Johnson, opening it up on that first drive with the, 40-yard catch there, and then that big 71-yard catch by Demetrius Robertson there that sort of put Arkansas away. So, yeah, I thought that was by far the best performance by this receiving group all season. I don't think it's been close.
Yeah, and then we saw some of the style, and Brian Harson's got a little Lane Kiffin in him. And what I mean by that is Auburn's defense came up with some key stops in this game, especially on 4th down a couple of times. Also had a defensive touchdown, no doubt about that. That was a huge, reason that the Tigers got the road win. But I thought one of the key sequences was, of course, that 4th down and 3 stop, on the QB draw by Auburn. They were able to stop KJ Jefferson short, and then first play, a shot play, and then Bo Nix, he actually threw it as he got hit. It was a heck of a throw, and drops it, right in the bucket. And Demetrius Robertson, he did give you a little bit of a heart palpitation because he bobbled it, but he caught it, gets in the end zone. That 71-yard touchdown to go from 21-17 to 28-17, I thought was huge in keeping Auburn, ahead in the game and keeping Arkansas at bay, Brian.
No, I agree. And Marcus Harris, the the transfer from
Kansas.
Mm-hmm. He's the one that recovered the fumble, and then he made that 4th down stop. So he sort of set that all going, and then I thought it was a beautiful play design by Mike Bobo and Harston, that entire staff there, to get Arkansas in that man coverage and sort of get that safety busy somewhere else. And Bo and Demetrius executed. And, you're right, Demetrius, managed to come down with that ball, thankfully, and, made the play to get in the end zone. So it was a dagger play, and you haven't seen Auburn have a whole bunch of those recently, but that was a big one.
Well, Brian, they head into the off week 5-2, do the Auburn Tigers. Not bad at all, 5-2. They're still in the thick of the SEC West race. Assessed where you think Brian Harson's group is at 5-2 going into this off week.
Well, you're right. They are still right here in the middle of this SEC race, which is something, if you're going into the season, you weren't sure was going to be the case. You weren't sure if Auburn was going to be in the top half of the SEC, but here they are. And you look at the schedule now, they got, another week and a half to get ready for a good Ole Miss team. Then they go on the road to Texas A&M, another top 20 team, but also a team where they've had some success on the road against. And then they got 2 winnable games against State and South Carolina. And, if things go decently through that 4-game stretch, there's a chance they go into the Iron Bowl with a winner-take-all SEC West title on the line. So I think that's more than Auburn can ask for right now going into this season with the new head coach and so many changes on both sides of the ball. But here we are.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And I know the Arkansas win was you could say maybe the first signature win. They competed well, had a shot to win in Happy Valley at Penn State. Georgia, I just felt like that wasn't a good matchup at the time for Auburn. I thought the line of scrimmage is where Georgia had the big advantage, and I thought Auburn played well early, Brian, in that game, but they just couldn't sustain it into the second half.
Well, I thought, breaking that 22-year streak at LSU was big, just
huge,
for
yeah,
in his program too. And
yes, that's
in
true.
The Georgia
Yeah.
game, I thought Auburn had a really good plan, but Georgia is just really, really good and better at Auburn at most positions. Athletically and talently. Talent is not a word, but talent-wise. So it almost had to be a perfect game against Georgia, and of course it wasn't. Georgia deservedly won, but even though the score was 34-10, watching the game, I didn't feel like Auburn was embarrassed or got, destroyed. I just think Georgia won because they were better, but Auburn came in there with a better plan and had to execute it better. They could have made a game out of it, at least not one maybe, but made a better game out of it. So, I do feel like those two road games at LSU and Arkansas were really big for Brian Harsin's program.
That's true.
And really
very
set things up for the second half.
Mm-hmm.
We knew going in, individual-wise, as far as rushing goes, Tank Bigsby was going to be the number one ball carrier. He was going to be a lot of the focus of the offense. But Jarquez Hunter has really evolved as a solid number two for Auburn in that backfield.
He has, and I think one of the keys coming out of this bye week for Auburn is to get both those guys going a little bit better. That's the one area offensively that still hasn't really gotten to where it can be, because I do think that Tank is one of the best running backs in the country, and Jarquez is a really talented freshman. And Auburn's got a terrific 1-2 punch there, but they just can't get it going on first and second down. They're only getting a couple of yards, with those guys. And I think that has to do with the blocking up front for Auburn. It's not as good as it needs to be. And teams are also, adding an extra safety or whatever they're doing to try to slow down Auburn's running game and giving Auburn, the ability to make plays in the passing game. And Auburn was successful against Arkansas, but they need to keep being successful so they'll have teams back up a little bit and give them an opportunity to run the ball better, because that's really what can make this offense roll if they can get Tank and Jarquez going.
Mm-hmm. And Brian, as they go through this bye week now, and they've nearly gotten through it, and then they'll, of course, really amp it up. They've already been preparing for Ole Miss, but that is really going to continue in earnest next week, as this will be game week. What is the biggest concern first offensively for you, for Auburn, that they need to improve on if they want to get to what, as you put it, get to the end of the regular season with a chance potentially against Alabama, if Alabama can also hold serve to play for an SEC West title?
Well, they had the one good game passing-wise with the receivers and Bo, a pretty clean game except for the interception. They need to repeat that, right? The receivers need to continue to catch the ball more consistently. Bo needs to continue to sit in the pocket a little bit better and make those throws more. I think that's really important. And then I think the most important thing offensively now is just to get Tank and Jarquez that running game going. And that's the offensive line, and that's the tight ends and those guys up front, blocking a little bit better, getting a hat on the hat, and just staying in the block maybe for a half second longer. Could be all it takes for the guy like Tank or Jarquez are so good. So I think that's the key offensively. And then defense, I think they've progressively gotten better. You could go back to Penn State and see that they were struggling in coverages with some of the new zone things they were doing, right? But I think as time's gone on, they've learned and improved and gotten better at that. So, I think now is just to, continue to take steps forward and maybe be a little bit more aggressive at times and start forcing some more turnovers. That's one area defensively that Auburn has not done a great job with so far, but maybe the second half of the season they'll sort of break out in that area too.
And they will get a challenge coming out of that break, too. You have an Ole Miss team who is going to come in, and that offense is going to be a challenge to stop for the defense right out of the gates, out of the bye week.
Really are. I think they ran 100 plays against Tennessee. They're a very high-powered offense that can wear down a defense. so that makes that running game even more important for Auburn to try to possess the ball a little bit against them and slow them down. And, that there's a good chance Owen Popo returns this week. Having him back against a quarterback like Matt Corral, who likes to run so much, will be very, very helpful, especially having a rotation with him. And Zacoby and Chandler Wooten would be very important for Auburn to get some more depth out there, with so many plays on defense. So it's going to be a big challenge for Auburn for sure. And, of course, everybody's watching to see how healthy Corral is this week against LSU.
Yeah, they really are. It's going to be interesting because he ran the ball 30-plus times, and that's the thing about the matchup with Matt Corral. And it's the aspect of his game that I think as he rose to prominence last year that people learned, because I have to admit, I had heard about his arm talent coming out of California. I didn't realize he's as good an athlete as he is until the last season, and then that sort of built on this year. And he's coming off of a game against Tennessee where he's banged up, but he carried the ball 30 times. He has to be accounted for on every snap, Brian.
He really does. And, you saw Tennessee, they had a spy on him, and he still ran for 200 yards against them, So you got to have a really good plan against him, and you got to really execute well. And, they do so many things well offensively. Lane Kiffin is just a mastermind on that side of the ball. And, it's going to be a tough matchup, no matter who's quarterback, probably. Auburn is lucky to have 2 weeks to prepare for that, for sure.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of excitement in Brian Harsin making it known last night that he's going to recruit a little bit on this bye week, and a good chance for Auburn to really kind of pick up some steam on that recruiting trail during the bye week.
It is, and there's a chance they could finish this recruiting class out pretty good. They're involved with a lot of high-profile kids right now, and we don't know how, they're going to go. There's several guys committed to other schools, including Tay Woody, that's still committed to FSU. Terrence Wells, who's a four-star corner, committed to LSU. And, we'll see what Curtis Perry does. Pike Road, big defensive tackle. I think a lot of people feel like you're probably going to Alabama or maybe another school, but Auburn's really involved there too. So, I think Auburn has an opportunity to close out well recruiting-wise. This is a big week for them to get out on the road. They'll be, I think they went out last night, a lot of them, and there'll be a bunch of games over the next couple of days and visiting those schools and those players. Darius Clemens, of course, the wide receiver from Portland, Oregon, remains a top target for Auburn, and the guy who could step in and probably play right away, maybe even start next year. So recruiting seems to be doing much better now, and I think it helps that Auburn's showing some results on the field.
Yeah, and then speaking of results and people being excited, coming up on the 29th, you're going to have Auburn with I guess I would call it the fan day for basketball, though I know and there's so much excitement because of Walker Kessler's transfer, because of Jamari Smith, who this is amazing. 2 years ago was not even ranked, and now is a consensus top 5 player in America. Some believe the best player in the SEC, and he hasn't even taken a step on the floor in a real game. But and a guy that could go high in the lottery. But a lot of size now on this Auburn team. And I know last year was a lot of injuries. It was a struggle, a transition season, but the expectations high. Auburn ranked 22nd in one poll. So the SEC as a whole looks like it's going to have a strong season, but a lot of excitement for Auburn basketball and Bruce Pearl going into the season.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun season for Auburn and the SEC overall. I mean, it's pretty amazing if you look back, 10 years ago, how much better the SEC is now compared to then. And that's true for a lot of schools in this conference. There's just much more talent in this league, and Jamari Smith is a great example of that. And the thing about Jabari is he's really skilled. He can hit the three. He's a true stretch four, but he's got a really good pull-up game. From inside the 3-point line, he can pull up and hit that 12-foot jumper really, really smoothly. And certainly going to be a force inside. And what I like about him is, for a freshman, he's already showing leadership and already being a really good teammate. So he's one of those players that really takes being a part of that team is important to him. So it should be a terrific season for Auburn and the SEC, and I think that Auburn-Alabama rivalry basketball is only getting better. Looking forward to those matchups later on this year or next year. So yeah, I think basketball is certainly on the upside in this state and in this conference.
Mm-hmm. And this year, all around the SEC, it'll be back. But basketball with fans in the stands will be a little bit different this year. No more better than Auburn as far as fans environment. And Bruce Pearl, they're even doing a scrimmage, which is something he has not done during his tenure there, for the fans to see, to endear them back to this basketball program.
Yeah, we even get the dunk contest. They were going to do that at the tip-off at Tumors, but I think the floor was just a little damp, and they were worried about slippage, so they're going to do that here at the orange and blue scrimmage there. So excited to see that, and I have a feeling there's going to be a big turnout, because I know fans are excited about this basketball season upcoming.
Yeah, they are, Brian. And the thing is, this roster is going to be so much different. We talked about the size, but it's thanks to the transfer portal. We talk about it in football all the time, but it's been huge in basketball. And this backcourt for Auburn is going to look much different.
It is. And, Wendell Green is a kid that will shoot from anywhere at any time, brings a lot of energy
Eastern Kentucky,
and confidence at that position. Yep. And then the other transfer there at point guard is Jasper, is just a lockdown defender. And when you have him and K.D. Johnson, the Georgia transfer, in the backcourt together, that's going to really, really bother a lot of teams, because both those guys can really defend well and are physical players. And, I'm excited to see how everything gels together and how Auburn goes out there and competes, especially early without Alan Flanagan.
That's right.
They're going to have a guy like Chris Moore step up and fill that role a little bit more. And, of course, Devin Cambridge, too. But, once we get Flanagan back and you have that guy who can score and drive in and draw fouls and do all the things that Alan can do, this team can be really dangerous.
And to wrap up with you, Brian, one final thought. When will Flanagan return? Do you know what the timeline is right now?
It's they're pointing to mid-December. So
okay, before SEC, gotcha.
Play right before SEC play starts, and they feel like so far his rehab is going really well. So that I think they're still confident that can happen. So that'll be perfect for this team as far as getting some guys from experience that maybe wouldn't have early on, and then getting him back for the most important part of the season.
Brian Matthews, some great thoughts. As Auburn isn't going through the bye week in football, and then Bruce Pearl basketball, that inter-squad scrimmage on October the 29th, going to be a big event, the dunk contest, a lot of excitement with Auburn basketball as well. Let everybody know how to follow you and what you guys do at auburnsports.com.
Well, I appreciate that, and they can check us out at auburnsports.com, and plenty of coverage of football. We'll be over at baseball. They play Clemson Saturday at 11 a.m. Another event going on there, and of course, basketball and football recruiting also, all that at auburnsports.com. You follow me on Twitter at BMattAU.
Appreciate it, my friend.
Hey, thanks.
All right, thanks, Brian. Let's get a break in. When we come back, and wrap up hour number 1 here on Talking Ball as we talk more college and NFL football.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Never mind fall and football being in the air. We want to taste it.
And never mind not being able to tailgate at the game. Let's create the ultimate barbecue experience in your own backyard.
You said it, Foster Brooks, and that's where Brooks & Collier comes in. Big selection of outdoor furniture.
And a big selection of grills and smokers like Traeger, Big Green Egg, Blaze, even DCS, and more.
This is the good stuff.
And Paul, we definitely got the accessories. And remember, we deliver. Visit us at 813 Meridian Street and shop online at brooksandcollier.com.
Tom Luganbill here for Woody Anderson Ford. When I was in the Tennessee Valley, one of the things that impressed me the most was the quality of the people. People like Bobby White and his team at Woody Anderson Ford. And now you can experience the tremendous new service lanes and showroom at Woody Anderson Ford, at Jordan and Sparkman, or just stop by for breakfast or lunch at Henry's Mustang Cafe. And in Madison, visit Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, just south of 72. Like a great college football tradition, always there, Woody Anderson Ford.
Southern Fidelity Mortgage. Think of them as a loan for everyone, offering more products than anyone else and the guaranteed lowest rates and costs in town. Of the 2,000 loans that Southern Fidelity Mortgage has pre-approved over the last 10 years, all but one have closed. That's unprecedented in the banking business. For FHA, VA, rural development, and conventional mortgages, for the best mortgage experience in town, it's Southern Fidelity Mortgage.
Call Southern Fidelity Mortgage Company at 256-656-5936.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey Wes, our company Fleming Roofing and Restoration specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough we can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10 plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey Wes, we show up.
Sitting here with Mark Kent of Southern Fidelity Mortgage Group of Huntsville. Mark, do you help pre-qualify people?
We pre-qualify people all the time, Wes. As a matter of fact, I love having them coming in here because when they come in and they pre-qualify, they can leave my office knowing exactly how much they can buy and have no worries.
Mark, tell me about your rates and pricing.
Well, Wes, this is something we're really, really proud of. Long story short is I love being able to provide the best pricing in town. Honestly, I cannot tell you the last time I lost a deal to either rate or pricing, something I'm very proud of.
So what all financing options do you have, Mark?
We do several different things. If you're purchasing a home, we can handle the purchase. If you're wanting to refinance your home, of course, rates are at the lowest they've been in the last 3 years. We do a lot of refinancing. If you're building a home, we can handle the entire process from breaking ground to the final close.
Do you sleep with your phone?
Wes, if you want to reach me, you can call me at my office phone, which is 256-562-1000. But always remember, I sleep with my cell phone at night. That number is 256-656-5936.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably